talk about the Cume Bridge request?
Yeah, that's one thing. I've started pulling some information from my files for your information. It's not to say it's all inclusive if you'd have any questions about anything, but I thought this would be a good place to start. This first table is the budget amount, the revenue, the expense, and the balance, all from year-end reports for Cume Bridge. Excuse me, the important thing from my perspective is the right-hand column. I've got an average revenue from 2001 to 2008 of about $665,000. From what I'm told, we went to a market value assessment in 2009, and the rate stayed the same, but the assessments went down, so the revenue went down to about 530. So from 2009 through current, we've lost about $135,000 a year in revenue for the Cume Bridge Fund. I know that we've talked a little bit about addressing that issue next year with the council, reestablishing that rate, and that would take effect in 2014 if those changes occur. The second sheet is the list of all the bridges that we've done, that we've replaced since 1999. I started working here in 2001. As you can see, basically we average about 2 bridges per year. What brought the whole revenue and expense thing to light was when I started preparing my budget for 2013 and looked at the balance, and you can see at the bottom of the second sheet are bridge 16 and 18, 2 Eel River bridges that were about $400,000 a piece, and that adds up pretty quick at that rate. I mean, you can see some of the historic costs. You know, that was back when diesel wasn't $4.25 or $4.50 a gallon, and concrete was $80 instead of $120, and inflation has hit us all, including bridges. The next sheet is just, that shows the current balance, which matches the first sheet. At least on the 6th of January, or December, the balance was $656,697. At that point in time, I still had a final payment for Bridge 74, which is now complete, of $90,774. Today I've got Indiana Reline mobilizing on the culvert project on Lincoln Way between 400 and 500 East. That's going to be about $124,000. And Bridge 10, which is the next bridge project, which is, we've got material has been received and the design has been completed. That $250,000 is an estimate. The bridge portion is about $213,600, and then we've got, you know, asphalt paving work beyond that. So that $250,000 might be a little high, but where that's going to put me is about $190,000. And this is all work that is done or will be done before our next distribution. Cume Bridge money comes exclusively from property taxes. So when property taxes are collected in May and distributed in June or July, depending, that's going to leave me a little short, maybe. I've done a historic replacement value for culvert projects, which are paid out of Cume Bridge, going back to 1985, adjusted for the consumer price index. Average cost about $12,670. If I were to replace 15 culverts, which I'm not saying I'm going to before the distribution, that would leave that fund pretty much out of money. I think some of the rest of this is just supplemental information as far as claim and proposal for the projects that we're working on. I've also included about 3 sheets back from that, a new plan that, just if you would consider it to be draft, I'll come back early next year after I've had a little more time to finalize this, but it shows Bridge 10, which is the next bridge that we would start on as the top of the list, and then down from there, third column from the right, so left of right, is an estimate in $100,000 for those projects as either USI or bridge inspection consultant, R.L. McCoy's estimate for Bridge 10. Further down, there's a couple BCF estimates. Those are mine, and you know those are projects for, we're talking 2016, 2017. So it's relevant to see that bridges aren't getting cheaper, and we've got more work that needs to be done. The bridges listed through number 41, which is to be replaced in 2016, are still technically considered structurally deficient or functionally obsolete. Bridge 10, we are getting rid of the last non-redundant bridge, which means that there's one main structure that holds up, one piece of the structure that holds up the entire bridge. If it were to fail, it could potentially cause complete failure. So, you know, the deficient or obsolete notation is not that they're in any imminent danger of failing, but more that they just don't meet current design standards. They currently, based on analysis, can carry a standard 20-ton load, but just don't meet current design standards. So just want to show you there is more work to be done. It's an ongoing thing. We've got 90 bridges. If you give those bridges a 45-year cycle, then you're replacing 2 bridges a year, and we'll get back to the first one on the list after I'm gone. But I would hate to lose ground from where we are now. We have been averaging 2 a year. We've gotten to the point where we've replaced almost every bridge that has a weight limit on it, except for the one that is on a side street in Larwell over the railroad tracks. It is currently posted at 15 ton, and the reason we haven't put emphasis on that is because there's an at-grade crossing at State Road 5, a block or 2 west of there. I really feel strongly about what we've been able to do in the last few years. At one point we had 15 to 17 bridges that were posted for weight limits in this county, and just hate to lose that ground. So certainly I'm not asking for any decisions at this time. It's a lot of information. Just wanted to present it to you, get it in your mind, and possibly think about utilizing some CEDIT funds to help get the Cume Bridge balance back to where it could be before the possible readjustment of the rate occurs in 2013.
So are you making a specific CEDIT request at this time?
I am not making a specific CEDIT request at this time,
Okay.
but I would like to in the future. I just wanted to basically start the dialogue, see if you've got questions, if there's more
Well, for
information that you want to see.
2013, the future is now. Does
Well,
that make sense?
Are you saying if I don't make a request today that it's not going to happen? Because I'll
In
tell me what you want.
In 2013. Well, let me give you a little history. We met in an open meeting a few days ago, and one of the projects proposed was, at that time it was called Project 11, Assistance for the Replacement of Bridge Number 10, with an estimated cost of $100,000, and the group voted 3-0 to deny that. We took it out of our CEDIT plan. It's not in our final 2013 CEDIT plan because we didn't see the relevance, and we saw next year getting Cume Bridge back to where it ought to be, 14, not next year, because we can't do it. So, if you're requesting that we put it back in the CEDIT plan for 2013, we'll listen to your request. And you've made your presentation, and I see that. But that was our
I understand, and I wasn't at that meeting, but from what I thought I heard about the meeting was that at the time there was a balance of $657,000, and that sounds like a pretty healthy balance. But what you may not have understood is the expenses that
the items
that
you
I
wrote in after
right,
that.
absolutely right.
And I would say that's probably right. The document we would have had would have indicated that you had $650,000. I don't deny that. I don't deny that. I might have that here somewhere, but you're probably right from that perspective.
And so with the projects that we are currently committed to, when all those expenses are paid, that 656 becomes 191.
Well, it sort of becomes 441 because Bridge 10 hasn't, without taking Bridge 10 out of there.
If you take Bridge 10 out, sure.
But you're saying Bridge 10 is an absolute must for 2013.
Well, I'm saying that
That's
it's already been
number one priority.
designed and they've already started fabricating material for it.
Okay, all right, okay. So once Bridge 10 is done, then it looks like we'd have 191,722, but this is not a statement, this is a question, but you do not have your second draw for 2012, is that right? Because if you do,
No.
you're the only one.
No, I do not.
Nobody else has a draw from
I do not have
second draw.
Second draw.
And can you give us an idea of what that second draw would amount to?
Well, as of the 6th of December, revenue was about $310,000. The estimate that I got from Jenny based on, this was back in June, was, call it 522, so the difference would be about 222. I'm sorry, 212.
All right, I'm not sure where you're going with that. Are you saying the second draw should be 212,000?
Based on initial, based on
Or one draw?
estimates.
I mean, or
Yes,
would be
the
a
second draw.
second draw 212. So in theory, you could say you could end the year with 403. Gentlemen, what's your thoughts?
And what reason outside of increase in materials? Is there any other reason? Because Cume Bridge always, as I can remember, has had a pretty good balance in it. What outside the increase in just the normal doing of work, whatever it might be, 2%, 3%, or whatever McCoy's charge on it, what other factors come into this with getting our balance to where it is now?
Well, the big thing is the size of the bridge as far as expense. The longer it is, the more it costs per foot.
The Neal River, you
it's
had
not-
two,
correct,
right, that were
right.
expensive.
And we have a few more Eel River bridges that are on that list. Again, that is a draft for now. The bridge plan for 2013 to 2017, there are 2 more Eel River bridges and 2 Blue River bridges that are on that list. And the bigger the ditch, the longer the bridge, the more per foot. I've kind of joked that we've got all the easy ones out of the way, and now it's, you start replacing Eel River bridges, you don't do it for $200,000.
So you are asking money from CEDIT. What else have you done to increase your balance?
John's here too. The council's gonna reestablish the Cume Bridge Fund for 2013 because it hasn't been done for 24 years.
That's what I see as the major I see that as the major problem. Not just with Cume Bridge, but Cume Capital.
Capital too.
We've not kept up with those two things, and we've not reestablished them, and we've probably waited too long. So what I see as the biggest factor, Tom, is why is this number going down? It's because revenue's flattened to down. And
So how much are you increasing?
Won't know until we reestablish it.
yeah.
And the council's gonna do it about March or April is when they have cited to reestablish it.
Not having dealt in this then, how is that percentage figured, say, into my taxes or what?
Currently,
How do you
it's,
get money from me for Cume Bridge? Because
right.
I'll drive over them, but I don't own any.
Currently, the rate is 3.33333 cents per $100 of
Okay.
assessment.
That goes strictly to Cume
Yes.
Bridge. Okay.
And
And you're gonna,
as far
do you think you're gonna double that?
well,
six?
it's gonna. No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I guess what I would like to see, and I haven't presented anything to council
Sure.
as far as reestablishing a rate, but when I can show an average revenue of $665,000 a year from 2001 to 2008, and we're talking about 2014, I'm not sure that $665,000 a year is enough. Now, I'm not saying it needs to be double that by any means, but everything is more expensive.
As you, and now this is because of time, but as you talk to your bridge builders or replacement people, what percent of increase are they giving you for a bridge in 2012 to 2013 or 14 when you're making these projections? And if you don't know or that's unfair, I certainly understand that. But what percent of increase do they think they're going to have?
Yeah, off the cuff, I don't know, but I
Okay,
can
so-
certainly, I can go back through the historic bridge bids.
No, because then you won't bill me for your extra time.
Well, you won't get a refund on it, that's for sure.
Okay, no, thanks for being honest with me, Bill.
And I want you to understand, this is a one-time request.